Hi, welcome to this channel on magnetic energy technology principles applications. This video is about Ascension Astrology. Partly, I just don't know what else to call it. So let's just go with that. And this is, of course, highly unconventional information, even from an astrological conventional astrology point of view. So part of this, I just want to talk for a second about the current state of like energy on our planet and why things like astrology are primarily like a divinatory tool right now, because it really doesn't matter what area of astrology you consider. If you want to go like with Western astrology and how it's the tropical system and how it's based on like the equinoxes and solstices and all that, so it's not even constellationally based, so it's obviously it's going to be primarily like a divinatory tool at that point. Eastern astrology, they try to be more accurate like with the constellations, but even that, the houses are not even, they're divided equidistantly, so they have almost very little representation to what the actual constellations in the sky cover from a degree point of view. So that's and then you can do like even constellational astrology, which might be try to be more accurate, but even it doesn't really matter. At this stage of consciousness and at this stage of our energy level, no matter how accurate you try to be with the planets and the constellations, the results might not be that good. And so much of astrology right now is going to depend on the practitioner's level of intuition, their level of skill interpreting charts, and all of this. And so it's highly practitioner dependent at this point if you want to get like truly accurate stuff. And part of that is because at the level of energy that's happening on our planet right now, we are in a highly suppressed part of the cycle, and right now we are just getting to the dawning of all of that changing. So what would be an analogy? Like we're riding at at 300 RPMs at 20 miles per hour or something ridiculous. And we are about to go up into the stratosphere in terms of energy flow through the system, energy output of the system, and our interconnectivity to the universe around us. And so all of that is going to change how we perceive the energies of the planets, the stars, and everything. And so like Tesla used to say, it's a universe full of resonances. And in this magnetic resonance model, everything has a resonance that we can tap into that energy outside of space and time. So for example, you could have stars and other solar systems out there that emit a certain resonant frequency or a magnetic resonance, if you want to call it that, or a certain pulse rate, as we would call it in this model. And like Tesla used to call pulse rates, and we're kind of in that same universe where everything's about magnetic resonance or magnetic pulse rates. And so the defining characteristics of those pulse rates that come from other solar systems can impact us here. And so now that energy can be attracted outside of space and time. And so there's no relationship of distance means absolutely nothing. Now, as we go through this transition of ascension and we start tuning in to the resonances around us, obviously the moon and the sun have dominant energies, but even every other body in our solar system, which is a lot, especially if you start like tracking the resonances coming off of asteroids or the Oort belt or the Oort cloud, all kinds of things. It could be comets, it could be things that are distant at the edge of our solar system. All of those can play a part, especially in this model. The gravitational circuit starts at the outer edge of the solar system and like kind of completes its circuit in the sun. And so even from that type of model, anything that's in that path can impact the resonance that we experience on this planet, and that the entire, like basically the entire solar system experiences. So here's the idea. There's no value judgment on the resonances produced by, like, say, different planets or solar or like constellations or stars. There's really no value. So like you wouldn't say one's good or bad or good or evil or positive or negative. It's not really about that. But there could be there could be resonances coming off of that, and this will go from a divinatory tool into an absolutely measured and quantifiable science when we measure the resonant energies coming off of every body that we can possibly measure. And it's not limited to the zodiac. So there's going to be stars all over the place that get part of this, that get put into this whole equation. Now, so here's the thing. Those resonances, they hit us at all times to some degree, but depending on our genetics, our predisposition energetically at birth, and in this particular model, our point of conception is so critical because it determines so much of how we attract those resonances and how we interact with them. And then it's not just that, it's the time of day. So this is like for horoscopic astrology, so it would be the time of day that we're born, could be an impact. All of those factors that we consider in astrology could all be they could all impact it. And then it's also sequences of events throughout our lives, and then of course how it impacts the global community and everything. So there may not be any value judgment from our point of view, but depending on where we are at our level of consciousness, where we are at our level of like evolution, like where the global energies on the planet reside, say for example, the resonance coming off of Mars could have an interaction with us, and there could be trends. So it could be that typical bell curve where there's a lot of trends happening where the energy from Mars, depending on, and you could say it just depends on all kinds of things like the transits and how things are positioned, and whether it's whether it's a stellium or square and all those different factors. But it can influence people to some degree. Now you could say, well, yeah, because it could initiate war and all that. And it's not that, because Mars is evil and a warlike planet. It's because at our current level of consciousness, the resonance coming off of that particular planet has an impact with the global consciousness. And so as we ascend in consciousness, as we expand our awareness, all of those energies have different impacts on us. And so it can come down to combinations that vary with each individual, but then vary with each culture on our planet and societies and all kinds of different factors. So each person has keys to ascension at little micro levels of ascension. So we may be like stepping into like a global ascension to get us to a certain point, but then as we go beyond that, there's energies that reside in the planetary combinations and the stellar combinations that provide keys to each individual to ascend to different levels of ascension and higher levels of ascension, and as well as society in general. So what we will learn to do, and that's the crux of this video, is to attract the energies that we need to achieve certain levels of ascension at that moment or at that time. Not only as individuals, but you will have millions and millions of people tuning into and attracting higher amounts of resonant energies from either certain planets or certain stars. And it's not limited to the zodiac, like I said, but that will assist even society and our planetary ascension in general, and then individual ascension, family ascension, and all across the board to achieve those next micro levels of ascension and essentially assist us through transition after transition after transition, because the energies and the resonances that we need are all around us. And when we have the ability to attract certain energies and enhance those energies, not only technologically, but with our consciousness. And so this is something that we are going to, when we reach this heightened state of awareness and this heightened state of energy, it is going to be much easier for people to tune in to those resonant fields and basically draw in the resonant energies that they need. And so an example might be, like say for example, there's a challenge in like a family or in a society or in someone's life personally, and this is even after ascension, after the big shift that we're going through, but there's still challenges. And so but the person can tune into balancing energies that allow an enhancement of their resonance and it could even be alterations in DNA structuring and in cognitive wiring, so basically rewiring and using those energies to ascend to the lesson or the awareness that it takes to basically ascend through that issue and to grow from it and then to move forward. And so it's basically like an enhanced ascension version compared to like what we do right now, where we kind of are in this weird cycle of like high low, high low, high low. And you could say even after the last whatever 20, 30 years, it almost feels like humanity has barely ascended at all in so many ways. But this is a completely new level of evolution and societal ascension, to where we will use the energies all around us, not only on our planet, but the energies from planetary systems and stellar systems, to achieve that stairway and keep going through those levels of ascension over and over and over. And that's a really powerful tool. So astrology becomes like this resonant science that we tap into, and it'll be measured. It'll be measured with equipment across the board, and how those resonances from the different planets and the combinations of those resonances, how that impacts different individuals, and how it impacts certain, it could be even signs across the zodiac, and it will be measured extremely precisely. And then people at large and millions of people tuning into that energy together to bring balancing energy to the planet, so that essentially we kind of come back more and more and more to neutral vibration and source light vibration that is very, very high in basically the flow of energy, the level of awareness, and all of our abilities that we are meant to experience at those transcended levels of consciousness. And so balancing the energies, it's all about balancing those energies and bringing it back to neutral, so that we tap into the predominantly neutral energy of the universe and the neutral energy of source. And so Ascension Astrology, this is something that's coming online. Now, if you're part of those people that that you're ahead of the curve in a sense, and you are going through like all these ascension symptoms and you're tuning into this stuff already, this is your time to look at the planets, the stars, the zodiac signs, but then other stars as well. Not just stars, but other heavenly bodies. It could be galaxies like Andromeda, for example. It could be the Pleiades. It could be stars that are in Orion. It's star systems and stars that are outside of the zodiac, but then also within the zodiac, to tune into what energies are assisting that you need right now to assist in any issue that you are going through right now. Because as the energy ramps up on this planet, even those special, like basically specially gifted people will tune into that ability to attract that energy even before we all go through this kind of global leap in ascension. So there you go. Just take that for what it's worth and see how you feel about that in your meditation. Please send in any questions that you have or feedback on this. I know a lot of people are thinking about this kind of stuff already, and I will see you next time.